Hello, guys, and welcome. It's been a while. I hope you're all doing well. Please let me know if you can hear me using a different headset today, but all should be fine, I reckon. No comments yet. Just want to make sure that you can actually all hear me. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. I want to take a good look at Bitcoin today, especially for the longer term, considering the fact that we just came down from this massive move. And I really just want to share my mind on where I see Bitcoin going over the next couple weeks or even months, and then explain a bit further on that. So, in short, and pretty much everyone has seen it by now, what most of the people are currently looking for is a inverted head and shoulders. Basically all of Twitter is filled with this pattern right here. I don't think this is valid anymore at this point. I think the right shoulder is taking way too long to form. And we can also see the volume is dropping down a little bit here. Personally, what I do expect to see is the following. If we draw our fib retracement over this previous move, I kind of expect Bitcoin to drop down again up until these lower levels, which is like 3650. Which makes for a great entry point for everyone who has missed this move, because I do believe that we are going to see a Wyckoff accumulation here, or not necessarily a spring. Wyckoff accumulation would kind of like something like this. Um, that's scenario one. Scenario two is that we will just continue sideways for a bit, make sure to have some proper accumulation, and then at least expect a retest of this broken support right here. Most of the people are drawing this support up until 5800. I'd rather be safe than sorry in this case, considering the fact that we are still in this massive, massive bear market. So I would just personally prefer to take this whole move right here and then just pin the target at the 618, which in this case is like 4300, 5300, excuse me, or 5250, something close to that, and that should give us a pretty cautious target. Now, of course, there will also be a point where this trade could be proven invalid, considering the fact that my own personal entry is right around here, 3,500. And there's still a lot of people on the sidelines, they're pretty much waiting. If you manage to take a position at 3690, 3600, something like that, it would be wise to at least have your stop down at 3200. And might seem like this is a pretty low stop, but if you consider the actual risk reward we could be having at this point, and let me get my tool out for that, we could be looking at something like a 1.5 or even up to a 6.8. Let's make it 6.5, be a little bit cautious here. And that is pretty much what I do expect to see. And I don't think this would be the era of the bear market. I just think that, with this massive, massive move down, without any bounce, any signs of recovery, it might actually really be time for a good, proper bounce. And then, once we get there, once we get at least at the first target, or maybe even up to the second, we might as well see a continuation of the bear market, because we are currently in log scale. But if we remove the log scale and pin the previous stop, let's have some perspective here. I wouldn't be surprised if this bear market doesn't end until 1200 or at least 2000 USD. So in short, this is my long-term thought. Obviously, most of us are also day traders here, so we will go a little bit more into the short term right now to decide a good entry and a good first target. There we go. Let me just fix this. It's a bit too much, I reckon. There we go. If we can manage to get some longs in at the 618 here, which is 3,600, and I'd like to do this on the hourly, then I think we should potentially be pretty safe, given to the fact that most of the support is actually around this level. You know, if Bitcoin actually manages to break this price point right here, there really isn't a whole lot that could hold another large move down. And because of this, we can actually have a pretty good stop just under this next Fibonacci level right here, and then just put our targets all the way up here. And this is, you know, this is what my short-term play would look like were it not for the fact that I actually have a pretty good entry myself. You know, I actually shown this on Twitter. We were creating a descending wedge previously, and that is pretty much my entry. You know, the moment we broke out here is the moment I entered, and I have most of this position left. I sold 25%. So for me personally, there's no reason to actually add to the position here. You know, it would only up my average entry, which would not be beneficial at all. So yeah, the other possibility that I do see happening, you know, I think it's quite unlikely, you know, because everybody is expecting this, and usually when everyone is on one side of the boat actually flips over. But the other possibility here is that we immediately breach this resistance that we've set in, and that we continue our journey upwards. I consider that more unlikely, but it's not impossible at all. So that's my thought for Bitcoin. Let's move over to Ethereum paired against USD on the Bitfinex exchange. I think we're pretty much in the same position here. I'm not charting the log scale right now. I'm just charting the linear scale. And what we can see here is that it appears as though we might break the support that we set in ever since like 14th of December last year. And if we do, this would pretty much like match my expectations for Bitcoin. I think Ethereum could make another move down all the way up until 139. Let's just make it 140 USD to keep it easy. Oh, hold on. I should say 120. 120 USD, and I'm basing this off the fact that we can see a lot of support laid down there over the course of the past month, or maybe even past 2 months. It also matches perfectly with the 236 Fibonacci level, in which, you know, I really do expect a reversal. Pretty much the same story here, in my opinion, at least as far as Ethereum goes. We can see that we had a massive move down over the course of the past, you know, basically almost a year. It has been a year now. Whoa, that's been a quick year, and we haven't really had any kind of significant, you know, meaningful bounce. The other point is that apart from, you know, $50 mark right here, there really isn't a, you know, that much of support laid down that could prevent a move down to 14 USD, and I think this is a bit on the extreme side. My target for ETH is super simple. We can draw a trend line right here, and that's going to be my first target. Now, basically, the target is going to be from the entry 120 up to 175. Let's make it 175. Let's assume this is actually going to take a couple more days, and then I'm not sure what the stop is doing there. Seems a bit extreme. Don't want to be in depth for holding ETH. And then our stop can pretty much be below this point that we set here during the last month. You know, this is pretty much what I consider support right now, and if we set our stop just below that, we have a very good R&R of 2.3. How am I feeling about Litecoin? Yeah, I was gonna get there next. So this is my play for ETH. I haven't really entered Ethereum yet. I've been holding that one off, and I do actually intend to enter at 120 USD. Good question about Litecoin. I'll just pair it against USD as well. Keep it simple today. Just pair everything against USD. Litecoin, gonna have to be honest here. I've never been a huge, massive fan of Litecoin whatsoever. That being said, at this point, Litecoin does look better than most of the other alts, given to the fact that we already had this massive drawback since December 2017. This is a minus 92%. And if a bubble pops, usually it's a minus 80%. In this case, we are sitting at minus 92. So I have been looking at Litecoin not necessarily to trade this over the short term, but to actually get a longer term position into this again. I've pretty much abandoned Litecoin last year. But right now I am seriously considering to add this to my long-term portfolio. And of course, I don't really expect to make any kind of crazy profits from this, like within a month whatsoever. But it might be a good long-term play, and it's very simple. If we go to bubble chart trading, we have it. This is what everybody considers a bubble, and I wouldn't be surprised if the despair period is actually right here. This really does look like despair to me. And let us draw the classic fib, and let's assume that we even get to the first Fibonacci level. So if we enter a long position here, put our target up here, $100, and then our stop just below the bottom that we set here, we get an R&R of 2.5, which is good. Although I wouldn't be surprised if we, after a while, actually manage to break this price point again, and once again, during the next bull market, shoot for the sky. Obviously, I'm not gonna risk losing that good position if we do manage to make 152%. So I would at least sell half, but I would be pretty confident just letting the other half sit there for the next year, maybe 2 years, and go for that sky shot, right? That's why we're here. That's why we are not trading Forex and oil, stuff like that. That's why we are trading crypto. That's what we're doing. Speaking of which, in today's session, I also want to go over the SPX. This one has been quite concerning, actually, and this doesn't just concern crypto, but this concerns like the actual entire global economy. Like me and a couple traders that I do actually respect, for their opinions. We pretty much believe, and I'm sorry for the mess here. The way I've drawn this is as follows. I've created this wedge here, ascending wedge, super easy to spot. If we go to the daily, you can see that we did set a higher high here in price. Although if we look at the RSI, we can see some extremely strong divergence over the last couple months, actually the last half year. And this to me pretty much indicated that the time was done. The party's over as far as I'm concerned for the global economy, basically. And it would be, and let me just remove the noise here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a recovery to the support that we set here over the last, year, basically. And then go for a second wave down, which pretty much, if we create a short position here, means this. Let me just grab this properly. Support there, and that's our target, 2135 for the SPX. And then we can be a little bit generous with the stop here, because this is the stock market, which is subject heavily to quantitative easing, stuff like that. So this is my position for the SPX, for the stock market. Looks terrible. Looks like everything's gonna go to shit. And I would be really surprised if it doesn't. Let's put it that way. The FANG shares are through the drain. China's stock market looks even worse. It's down 30%. The DAX, Dutch stock market, they all look dreadful. So I kind of expect a regression to happen soon, and I hope it does, honestly. Yeah, I'm still long-term on Lux, Nelson. More about that soon. I quite possibly have a good announcement to make about that, which will be great. Can't really say anything about it yet, but yes, I am still long on Lux. I'm doing a lot of things right now. I'm actually starting my own venture capital fund. I've been talking to a ton of investors, and hopefully, next week we can sign everything, get this thing going. And this might also be beneficial for campus members. So that would be really nice. Would appreciate that a lot if we can make that happen. Next in line is going to be EOS, one of the most accurate trades I ever did. I was really surprised by that. Kind of the same story here. I think EOS is also currently in despair, and I hold a lot of weight in my EOS position for the one reason that they raised a boatload of money, like an insane amount of money, and of course they might just use some of that money to make sure this thing doesn't go to zero. And sadly, I've drawn this support quite a while, and I had more buy orders at $1.2. They just didn't get actual hits. We went down as low as 1.7. That being said, I am actively increasing my EOS position again. And as soon as I think it is relevant, there will be a call in the campus. Yeah, thanks, Aaron. Thank you very much. I hope it's going to be great. Yeah, like this fund is not mainly going to trade shit coins or whatsoever. We're going to actively participate in blockchain ventures with actual business models. So it's going to be a little bit different, but of course we will also be trading with some portion of it, hopefully, if it happens. Actually plan to launch the whole website next week with all the information there, our mission statements, our goals. So really excited about that. On the shorter term, if we go to EOS, I have actually been looking into making this a call, but I haven't done so yet. For the main reason that we still haven't really breached this resistance that we've got going on here. This has been set in November last year. Might be about to change. We are currently viewing a live trying to break out of this resistance, so gonna keep watch on this. Probably, like always, I'm gonna be asleep when this happens and I'm gonna miss it, but shouldn't be too much of an issue actually. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on most of the larger cryptos on the SPX. Obviously, there's one more thing that I would really like to show you, which is silver. I've been shouting this ever since last year, actually, and it seems like now it might be happening. Gonna go to the weekly charts because this is, such a long period of time. I do believe that silver was in a bubble, and basically it made like, I don't know, 500%, after which it decreased in value again, approximately 80%, 71. depending on how you measure it. And I think that the bubble is done. I think that silver is currently in despair, and this would be completely in line with the fact that I also think that the actual stock market is gonna have a really, really tough time the coming months, years maybe. So big fan of silver here. I actually got myself a good amount of silver, and the potential here is not in the TA. The potential is in the fact that the above ground storage supplies are going to run out in approximately 4 years. Nobody knows that there is actually more gold than silver stored above the ground right now, and that is just because of the fact that silver is being used for the last like 20 years in all kinds of electrical appliances. Electric cars require a lot of silver to be manufactured. Solar panels require a lot of silver to be manufactured. And that is the reason I am going for silver and not for gold. So yeah, that is pretty much my thought for now. I was thinking about not making these live streams too long because I will actually be trying to do a live stream every day at this time. This will just be a daily thing so that if anybody has questions or whatsoever, you can actually ask them and get your answer the same day. Um, for everyone who wants to, I am going to post my Discord link into the comments. You can join there if you feel like it. Everybody's welcome. And I hope to see you guys there. And then, of course, I'm gonna make a live stream question channel as well, so that if you have any questions, you can put your questions in there, and then during the daily live stream, they will be answered. So I'm gonna go to bed now. Tomorrow I'm going to have a very, very long day. All kinds of people coming to the office. So really excited about that. Actually got some work to do, make some presentations, just finish them actually, and then I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.